The factors that will determine this election is who is ready to deliver on Ekiti's agenda. Ekiti governorship election coming up in June 18 this year. It's one of the off-seasons election we're having, because of the, history of the state, at least coming from when Segun Oni and Fayemi initially, at least they slugged it out. Between 2007 to 2010. And that's why the election is not coming like any other election that we normally have. But be as it may, PDP and APC, have been in control of the election in Ekiti. It has been a two-horse race between APC and the PDP. And it will interest you that since emergence of this democracy, 1999, no party has won back-to-back. Meaning that if PDP had 4 years, like it started with APC, then AD, so they had the first 4 years, that's when Adebayo was the governor. 4 years after, 2003, PDP came through Fayose. And when Fayose was impeached or was removed as it were from office by then President Olusegun Obasanjo, so the next election to it, at least it was initially said to have been won by PDP, Segun Oni. But the controversy that led to the court case dragged for almost 3.5 years, which now brought Fayemi for his first time. So Fayemi had another 4 years since 2010 to 2014, and Fayose of PDP won again. At least Fayose was there till 18. Then Fayemi came back again in 2018 and defeated PDP. So when you see no party has been able to win back-to-back, but that's I just try to explain why we're having the off-season. But again, for the 2023, I promise to be another interesting election. But the dynamics this time around may not just be between APC and PDP, because we're having another strong force, SDP, and is trying to make impression in that election. It's very difficult for anybody to say maybe PDP will take back power because no party has won back-to-back. But the truth, again, is that if you look at dynamics now, as I was saying, the political calculation of Ekiti seems to be changing. With Segun Oni that was denied PDP ticket, but if you look at the political trajectory of Segun Oni, he was a governor in the state for about 3.5 years. And they used that opportunity to have some followers. SDP was an unknown party in Ekiti State until recently. But with Segun Oni coming into SDP, now there seems to have been life in that party. There seems to be, a new list that a lot of people are now joining that party. And it's now becoming a very big movement that nobody can underestimate. So to talk of PDP, APC for this election, no. So if anybody wants to do, analysis that will reflect the reality of what has happened within the political firmament of Ekiti, must begin to talk of APC, PDP, and SDP. Segun Oni factor is simply that when he was governor, as I said, he tried his best. But the party he is joining now is not known in Ekiti SDP. You won't see anybody in SDP that's a member of a state assembly. You won't see anybody in SDP that's a member of the National Assembly or having any board, both states and or federal. But we can't rule anything out. But at the same time, SDP is still not a strong structure in Ekiti that can spring surprise, as many people are thinking. Because when chips are down, one person cannot go around and ensure victory in all the wards and the local governments they have. But Nigerians have not developed to the extent or are ready to take ownership of governance. Elsewhere, people will identify a good candidate, and the people of that community, of that town, of that state will sponsor the election of that person. You cannot rule out the roles of the godfathers in this election, because the candidates, the candidates that emerged in both PDP and APC were products of godfathers, and that's the basic truth. If not Fayose that supported and ensured Kolawole emerged as PDP candidate, that's no way Kolawole on his own could have defeated Olujimi. So Olujimi was very on her feet, and it's not just another politician. She has paid her dues. But because Fayose had, for almost a year to that primaries, had been touting Kolawole and did everything to ensure Kolawole won that primaries. And be as it may, so it was Fayose that installed or gave tickets to Kolawole. And the same thing to APC. I think everybody knows that the gentleman that is a candidate now is an anointed candidate of Fayemi. So we all know that. If not because he was a candidate of Fayemi, perhaps it would have been tough for him to defeat people like Senator Okpeyemi, Bamidele, and Co. and Bafe. But once they will tell you that so he had a strong backing of Fayemi. So what I'm saying that the two of them were products of godfathers, and these godfathers will also want to slug it out on this election. The factors that will determine this election is, one of those factors is who is ready to deliver on Ekiti's agenda. Who can Ekiti people trust? So, and whatever happened with the primaries to be held by this month end, which will start by the next 2 weeks, do you understand? The National Assembly, the State Assembly, the presidential, whatever, do you understand? Because it will affect Ekiti election. And that's going to be the major determinant. But I know there's going to be backlash after these primaries. And that backlash will give us a clearer picture of which party is going to carry the day.